What is going on, everybody? It looks like the New York Times has reported Kamala's campaign may be coming to a bittersweet end. When I say bittersweet, I mean it's just bitter for her. It's pretty much sweet, only exclusively sweet for the rest of us. Let's talk about it, all right? So, the New York Times has reported that Kamala's campaign may be coming to an end because of several factors, right? They got a few interviews with previous staffers, current staffers, high level staffers, lower level staffers. They even obtained a resignation letter, which I'm going to get into, from a state director. Yeah, it's that bad, and I'm gonna read that shit because it's bad. But first, I want to read to you this little quote from the article, which states that the 2020 Democratic field has been defined by its turbulence, with some contenders rising, others dropping out, and two more jumping in just this month. Yet there is only one candidate who rocketed to the top tier and then plummeted early primary state polls to low single digits. And that, of course, is Kamala Harris. Now, I am not really all that surprised by Kamala dropping the single digits. I'm pretty sure we know exactly who we can thank for that. And of course, we'll get into that in a second. But I'm not surprised. I mean, if you want to just take away the interaction with Tulsi, Kamala like catapulted to the top immediately because of the coverage she was getting, of course. And then it was only shortly after that that she began to slip away anyway. Even though she had Marsha Fudge's endorsement, even though she had Barbara Lee's endorsement, she was constantly slipping, and it was very difficult for her to stay in the quote unquote top tier. But by most standards, her being considered top tier really only came from her being placed fourth behind Warren, Biden, and Bernie. Generally, sometimes she'd be a little bit ahead of Warren. They would alternate in their leads, but her only qualification for being top tier was really only her being top four. Now, I just gotta say, at this point, I feel like New York Times is probably trolling her a little bit because we never used the phrase top tier candidate as much until Kamala decided she wanted to use that to delegitimize Tulsi's critiques about her that once again Kamala still hasn't addressed. Now, moving forward, there are obviously problems with her campaign as far as her message is concerned, but there are more problems that even cause a staffer to resign. And this is a pretty damning resignation letter, which is kind of crazy that that this person sent this to the New York Times. But hey, I guess everybody wants to be the story, right? So let's read this letter. To whom it may concern, it is with a heavy heart that I submit my resignation as State Operations Director at Kamala Harris for the People, effective November 30th, 2019. Damn, Kamala, it looks like you got to find another state director tomorrow. Woo! This is my third presidential campaign, and I have never seen an organization treat its staff so poorly. Wow. That's saying something, because generally staff gets treated pretty bad. I mean, I'm being honest with you. It's not necessarily always the candidate's fault, but just because some people get power hungry and they only get so many months out of a year to flex their muscles, because that's just the nature of the political beast. Anyway, while I still believe that Senator Harris is the strongest candidate to win in the general election in 2020, I no longer have confidence in our campaign or its leadership. Ooh. The treatment of our staff over the last 2 weeks was the final straw in this very difficult decision. Well, go ahead and spill some of that tea, Mrs. State Director. All right, she goes on to say, it is not acceptable to me that we encourage people to move from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore, only to lay them off with no notice, with no plan for the campaign, and without thoughtful consideration of the personal consequences to them or the consequences that their absence would have on the remaining staff. It is unacceptable that we would lay off anyone that we hired only 2 weeks earlier. Wow. It is unacceptable that with less than 90 days until Iowa, we still do not have a real plan to win. So hold on. I thought she removed her people from New Hampshire and started living in Iowa with the whole idea was to have a plan to win. That's what I thought. Clearly, my bad. I keep giving Kamala too much credit. My apologies. They goes on to say our campaign for the people is made up of diverse talent, which is being squandered by indecision and a lack of leaders who will lead. That is unacceptable. When morale has never been lower and additional people, even if only 3, are laid off, and neither the campaign manager or the chair addresses the staff to explain, apologize, or reassure us of the decisions being made and the path forward, something has got to give. Presidential campaigns are incredibly challenging work, and for good reason. We're asking people to trust us, to look out for them, to have their best interests at heart. Campaigns have highs and lows, mistakes and miscalculations, lessons learned and adjustments made. But because we have refused to confront our mistakes, foster an environment of critical thinking and honest feedback, or trust the expertise of our talented staff, we find ourselves making the same unforced errors over and over. And it certainly does not help the team to read about campaign discord in Politico or various other publications, as this letter gets sent to New York Times talking about the discourse in the campaign. I don't know if that was her who sent it, but that's hilarious irony. Because those with things to say have decided the best way to air their grievances is in the press instead of to the leadership. That is not how I would have ever imagined my time at this campaign ending. And like I said, this was not an easy decision. I only hope that my departure might result in some serious consideration of our structure, our goals, our internal communications, and what our organization values are. We have really amazing people on staff, and I'd hate for anyone to get to the point where I find myself writing this letter of resignation. Oh man. It ain't looking good for Madam Harris, y'all. It ain't looking good for her right now. And like I said, you can't be all that surprised by this. You can't really be all that surprised by this, because when you hire people, when you hire the majority of Hillary Clinton's senior staff, probably the worst campaign ever run in the history of the United States of America as far as major candidates are concerned, especially major candidates who are almost guaranteed to win. When you hire those people, what the hell did you think was going to happen? I'm confused, quite honestly. This is what the expected result was. This is literally what we have been preaching since the campaign announced, and then we were told subsequently that they would be hiring on Hillary Clinton's senior staff. Damn. If only calling Tulsi an Assad apologist could help save your sinking campaign, Kamala. Oh, isn't that funny? Now, the article also talks about the fact that she is, for lack of a better term, broke. She's not taking out any Facebook ads since September. She's raised $36 million up to September. The new numbers haven't dropped yet, but she's raised $36 million up to September, and she's already broke. Now, just for contrast, let's talk about her favorite candidate, Kamala's favorite candidate, Tulsi. Tulsi at that point in September had only raised a total of $9 million. In September, Tulsi didn't even qualify for the debates. Kamala did. And yet, here we are. Tulsi's in the race, thriving and surviving. Kamala, who raised $36 million, literally, what's that, 4 times? Yeah, 4 times. 4 times what Tulsi made. Campaigning in more states than Tulsi could possibly campaign in with her limited staff. And yet, Tulsi is here and has replaced her as a top tier candidate. Oh yeah, that's what we call irony, baby. It is poetic. It is indeed poetic. Now she's actually doing so badly that some advisors said that this might leak over into the Senate race if she decides to run again in 2022, because she's now vulnerable. Her advisors think that it may be Steyer who steps up to challenge her for her seat. And if that happens, well, she can't outspin Steyer, can she? Plus, Silicon Valley, I think, likes Steyer better than Kamala. So there's that as well. Now, this is the final takeaway from this entire thing. The most damning part of this entire article, because it's crazy. You go from a top tier to this. Her senior aides plan to assess next month whether she's made sufficient progress to remain in the race. And she says, this is a longtime Harris donor, Susie Boyle. For her to lose California would be really hard, and it's not looking good. Bruh. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. So, we got to give a shout out real quick to Tulsi. By the way, if you have not yet, donate to Tulsi's campaign. Even if you have, donate to Tulsi's campaign. She took out Kamala. Got to keep her in the debate so she can finish chipping away at Buttigieg, even though Buttigieg, he's kind of hurting right now ever since that little exchange. But nonetheless, I want to make sure she gets on that debate stage. I think she's around 2,000. I think she needs like 2,000 in unique donors for her to qualify finally for that December debate as well. So we want to get her to that mark as soon as possible. But shout out to her for taking out Kamala, for just doing nothing more than telling the truth that was known at that point to everybody, but many refused to address. Shout out to everybody who put in the work to make sure that Kamala 2020 presidency was never going to happen, because Kamala was truly dangerous. She was being propped up by everybody. She had all of Hillary Clinton's team backing her. She had the entirety of CNN backing her. She even had Barbara Lee backing her in the Bay Area where she's from, over Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard, which was kind of a surprise, not going to lie, because Barbara Lee and Bernie are friends. But to have Barbara Lee, Marcia Fudge, Charlemagne the Guy, you had a lot of names, and you still end up being sunk by really nothing more than not learning from others' mistakes. Because like I said, you hire Hillary Clinton's staff, and then you get exposed for your own record and are completely and totally unapologetic about it. Instead, you decide to victim blame and attack Tulsi for doing nothing more than exposing the truth about you, rather than just saying, you know what, I've learned since then. Would it have saved her campaign? No, but it would maybe save her from future campaigns. She would have still been a viable candidate, maybe 8 years from now, if she owned up to those facts, but she never did. So now she might be done completely. So when we say Tulsi ended Kamala Harris's career, especially if Kamala gets beat in 2022 because of what took place during this campaign, that is not hyperbole. Tulsi literally ended Kamala's career. Whew! Oh! Gotta love it. Politics is a bitch. And Kamala just figured out for the first time what happens when you actually have to earn the executive position you get. Not as easy as you thought, huh? With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Make sure you subscribe to us on Rokfin. Make sure that notification bell is still on and that you're subscribed to us here, of course. And always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Of course, if YouTube is giving you trouble, as it always does, you can download the Rokfin app and follow us there. Also, if you want to continue to help our show grow, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon and donate as little as $1. Really, anything helps. Other than that, always remember, people, more than anything else, find your balance.
Peace.